Brosplay! Wonderful, welcome back. We were just discussing how awful that blue tint looks.
Okay, well, what color am I going with then?
Make it blue under.
Okay, so you like that.
Yeah. And then make the car's magenta brighter.
Okay.
I know that's going to cost you more money. Make it matte.
I don't give a shit.
Make it a matte. Yeah, make it brighter, bring it in. Like, bring it up to the center. There you go.
That's what you want? Is this what you want?
Yeah, like weird, like salmon, you know?
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go, real salmon-y.
So dudes pull up and they think they're gonna talk. They're like, hey, baby, and it's you. And you're like, what do you want? And then make it fucking black. Or white, like a stormtrooper. There you go. Nice.
Sure. I feel like actually, you know what? I'm gonna make the glow white as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Flashing? That's not good.
No, yeah. And I don't even think there's settings. When you go to flashing, it's just like, yeah.
Oh shit. Oh shit. We probably shouldn't do that for people who are really light sensitive though.
Yeah, but this one's pretty sweet when you're driving around.
Do you think that requires a warning?
Not for that.
No?
No, not for that. Because the overall, like, I mean, someone tell us if that actually would be a problem, but I don't think so. Okay, I think we're good. We're ready to leave the shop. There we go. Okay. There's no, like, please save my car and then exit the shop. There's no option for that.
Welcome back to Save My Car.
What the fuck? Why is it telling me nitrous now?
Because nitrous is nitrous is like
nitrous is
not drafting nitrous. It's a different thing.
Oh.
Yo, look at them showing you fucking A-class cars. Like we don't have those yet.
Yeah, and what's even dumber than that is the car I just purchased. You can't put nitrous in it unless it already has it. Like, you can't add more nitrous. You can't change it.
Really?
You can only use what's in there because you can't do the performance shop.
That seems a poor choice.
Well, these cars, I think the idea is that they're starter cars. They want to give you some options. Oh man, this thing's not nearly as fast.
Can you bring the camera out? You're like really close.
I don't think
it's select, isn't it?
No, that brings up the map.
There you go. There's a button to change the different. There's like 3 different camera angles.
What? Oh,
there you go.
There we go. That's better?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sorry about that, folks.
Like that you didn't have it on the last car. It's like it changed.
Oh, it just came with this one?
Yeah, race Phil, bro.
But I want to do the...
Okay, you know, do what you want to do. You do the unbeatable street
Get
race.
back here, Phil. Get back here.
I can run him over.
Alright, let's do it, Phil. So notice how I already have a charge over on my drafting bar? So that's my nitrous. Woo, woo.
Ho ho!
I'm glad they have very generous margins, because I would not have hit that otherwise.
I'm really glad that
terrible color for this car.
Yeah, with salmon.
I feel like I picked that just to piss us off.
Fucking Phil's greasy palms. Look at that guy's gloves.
Phil's splits. That's what I'm gonna
call it. Phil, I think I've already made the joke, but Phil looks like a low polygon 3D rendering of Rick Sanchez.
Rick Sanchez?
That's Rick from Rick and Morty.
Oh god. Yeah, an Earthbound version of him.
Well, Earthbound is a game, I think. So let's not confuse people.
Yeah, let's not go there.
Fucking kill Phil. I want you to kill Phil.
Can I draft off a motorcycle? Please tell me I can.
I don't think so.
I cannot.
That's the downside to them.
You mean the upside to them?
Yeah. By the way, this game, according to my recording device, is able to hit 60 FPS. It's not currently.
Not even close, yeah.
But amazingly, the PS2 actually had the capability of hitting 60, which is quite extraordinary. Unfortunately, after this generation, when 60 FPS became easy, no one ever aimed for it ever again.
Which is weird. You'd figure if it's easy, people would do it as a non-option.
Game feel is so important in a game, and the frame rate is a giant part of that feel. So making a game run at 30 really changes how the game feels, and most people don't care. That's why they do it. That's why you don't see 60 FPS until you're playing remakes.
Oh, remastered versions and stuff.
Like if you play a game that came out in 2013 on the PS4, it's probably a remastered and it'll run at 60. It ran at 30 back then, and the game from its current series that came out on the PS4 will run at 30, and then in the PS5 it'll run at 60. Everything's just fucking 10 years behind. It's asinine. I hate it.
Is it laziness?
No,
Is
it's not
cost
laziness.
Efficiency?
It's graphic fidelity. They're sacrificing frame rate for.
Oh, that's a wall.
The same way you sacrificed not hitting things for for a shortcut.
For speed, yeah.
It's I mean, to put it simple, screenshots sell games.
Ooh,
and like glossy.
So it's more about the individual frame than it is about how those frames go together these days.
Well, that combined with glossy glossy demo videos can be compressed and like there are artists who specifically touch up screenshots and videos for games before they come out to make them look better than they are, to add high definition rendering, ambient occlusion, you know, high quality shadow effects.
What
all
you're
that
saying
kind of
is
stuff.
things that are not actually in the game.
No.
That's the important part here.
Yes, they're trying to make a game look better than it will actually ever run in the future. And what's crazy is that devs.
Yes. Fuck you! I saw him coming in my rear view.
Fucking Kyle.
What do devs do?
Shit. Forgot what I was gonna say. Shit.
we were talking about the making shit up, like how they would fix things up to make them look like they're not actually going to go into the game.
Right. Developers often don't release games that run as well as modders are able to make them run. And
That's a good point.
It's sort of like you can overclock your graphics card. They give you, like, your graphics card can usually do more than they actually bill it as, but they've figured out that what they give you is how the graphics card will run and not crap out on you quickly. So they give you like a card with like, they say it has a gig of video RAM, but it actually has like 1.5 gigs or whatever. But
okay.
if you run it at 1.5, you could fry it. It's like, so understanding how to overclock something and understanding its limits are like, you need to do that, because if you just think you're gonna get a lot of power out of it, you're gonna do what I did with my old graphics card, which is fuck it over. I got like 50%, I would say, maybe 30 to 50% performance out of it by overclocking it, but it also died in like less than a year, so.
Oh, so it was not worth it.
No.
Yeah, it's almost like with a vehicle. Most people buy vehicles at sort of like the end of the market where they just are told this is how it will function and just drive it and it'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas there's other people that know exactly how the vehicle works and they know what limits they can push it to, they know what kind of torque they're gonna get out of it. Same idea. Most people just, they get a graphics card with their computer or they buy one to go in aftermarket.
Yeah.
But if you know what you're doing, you can push it further. You just gotta be careful. And I guess it's also a matter of, do you want good graphics for a little bit or decent graphics for a lot, for a long time?
Yeah.
You do have to make that trade at some point, I suppose.
So I'm just really wrapped up in this song. This is fucking sick, dude.
There's just so much hype music, and the feel of this game is just awesome. I actually have no idea where this next node is.
You know, the game would feel much better. Jeez. Just follow one of them.
This is so not going to be a winning race at this point. How's that one guy so far behind?
They have to put one behind to make you feel like...
Yeah, you know what? Maybe I just straight up don't like cars. I feel like I'd be winning this race if I had the CFL, but that's actually not true.
No, you ran into a wall. It doesn't matter what you were driving.
Yeah, no, that's so true. If you drive straight into a wall, you don't have much of a chance. I want this guy to get ahead of me so that I can draft off of him.
Oh, what I was saying is that the game feel would be much better in this game if it didn't drop below 60. Because it drops to like what seems like 30, which is a giant drop going from one to the other. Also, motion blur is the worst. It is such a cheap way to make the frame rate seem higher than it is.
And that's exactly what's happening. 90% motion blur.
Like, I avoided Uncharted 4 for the longest time because when I see a PS4 game, I go to Digital Foundry on YouTube and watch their performance test, and they will show you exact numbers on how the game runs. And one of the things that they mentioned was that it had motion blur, and it can't be turned off. Or someone else mentioned that. And then I was watching a Game Room Brit video, and he mentioned how, like, way after the game came out, they released a patch allowing you to turn off the motion blur. And that's the only reason why I bought it. And I can actually stomach that game with 30 FPS because it doesn't have motion blur.
Consistency is way better. Consistency is so much more important than fluidity.
Well, it's like motion blur is the drop shadow of video effects. Drop shadow is this, like, I mean, I use it all the time because I like it and I know how to, like, appropriately use it, but drop shadow is used by bad artists to just make stuff pop even though it doesn't actually pop properly.
And is drop shadow just like the shadow that goes, ooh.
Sick, dog.
Look at that Cuevito.
Cuevito.
It's a Cuevito.
You have to lean back to drive that thing. Holy shit.
Yeah, man. That's a pretty sweet bike. I'm curious to see. I think it's shit, though. I think it's really slow. Because they give you some really dog shit cars in this game.
That's amazing that you still remember this stuff.
Here, how about... Yeah, I know. I haven't played this game in so long.
I remember the Elise. Because it has a weird name.
I didn't actually remember that one. I was surprised you did.
I think it's because that's what I drove.
It's a nice car. I just don't like cars, man. Because you can't lean. You get that weird go up on two wheels thing. Who the fuck wants to do that? It's so not helpful. It doesn't give you any advantage in turning or anything. It just makes you liable to roll over and die.
So
the CFL is still slightly better.
Why would they give it? Maybe the other one can be tuned, though.
Ooh. Let's check it out. See, there's an accept. Like, I can hit accept, but it doesn't seem to do anything until it actually comes out. Now I can, like, do stuff with it.
They just didn't want to move it. There's no reason to move the accept bar. It's just unnecessary.
I can't performance shop this one either. Oh, I don't think I can even color shop the CFL. So this one I can, like, actually do
custom
mods on. I'm pretty sure I don't know. Let's try it. Let's see what this one's like. If we don't like it, we can always come back and get the old CFL. Yeah, CFL, that's the Canadian Football League, right? That's the actual acronym?
Yes.
Okay. I just never watched CFL, so I barely even drew that connection.
Well, I mean, it's football, but, like, football is soccer. And since we're, like, associated with Britain, it's
Look
actually
how low I'm sitting. It looks like I'm on the ground. Like I could be sitting on a pail playing drums in the street right now.
It looks like you're playing street drums. Anyway, to finish what was definitely not going to be a good joke anyway, it's actually CAFL because it's Canadian American Football.
Is it really?
No.
Oh, wait. Okay.
It's because football, it's like English football and American football, right?
Oh, I see.
The CFL plays American football, so it's the Canadian American Football League.
But it's funny because they actually...
Oh my god, it actually looks like you are riding like a hoverboard.
It does look like I'm that guy who has that like motorized couch. But it's just a motorized
That's
stool.
exactly what I was gonna say! It's the fucking couch!
I have actually seen a video of these guys in Germany who put an engine and wheels into a milk crate. So he's going down the road in a milk crate going 50 kilometers an hour with no shirt on.
In Battlefield Hardline, there was a legit drivable couch just in the middle of someone's garage. You could just drive it around the battlefield.
That is so unnecessary, but so awesome.
So that game had a lot of personality, but it didn't do well because it didn't capture what Battlefield's all about. Which is like the three-way battle between air, land, and vehicles. I guess you could throw water vehicles in there too.
So was Hardline just a Call of Duty type style where it was all infantry?
Hardline was cops versus robbers?
What?
Which is a great idea. It's just like there were helicopters and shit. I mean, like it's one of the only times I've ever seen the second most recent game in a series pick up right after Like, so Battlefield 4 was doing very well, and people liked it a lot, and then Hardline came out, and a bunch of people swapped over, because that's what you do when a new game comes out, and then really quickly just dropped right off.
Everyone went right back.
They went back. And Battlefield 2 had one of the craziest, like one of the longest runs I've ever seen for a first-person shooter that isn't Counter-Strike. And Siege is on the way.
Yeah.
Siege is now... Siege has a plan for their entire third year. We're in their third year, too. And it's actually better now. I would say this is the best it's ever been.
So they've been sort of doing a continuous improvement type thing.
Yeah. They're doing, like, major improvements. Like, within the next month, they're taking the speeds of the fastest and slowest characters and bringing them closer to the middle.
Okay,
2.5 years
into the fundamental change.
Into the game's, yeah. That's crazy. That's huge. That's like... That's a gigantic change. They went from 50 hertz servers to 60 hertz servers, like almost 2 years into the game's lifespan.
Which I think is pretty cool too, that they're willing to make that kind of fundamental change to the game.
Yeah, I think a big part of why Siege did so well is because the publisher didn't believe it would, so they let the developer do whatever they wanted with it, and never built it around their normal business practices.
Oh, their normal, let's fill this thing to the brim with microtransactions?
Exactly. So, like, in For Honor...
Shit.
Good turn. For Honor is a pretty neat idea, but it was crushed by its poor networking. And off the bat, you have to spend so much fucking money for new characters. It's like, why? It's like not even worth it. Whereas Siege gives you like the first 16 operators that were in the game are all dirt cheap, and the rest of them are very expensive, but at least they give you a giant amount of stuff to work with, plus some of the most overpowered characters of the first 16.
I find that's with a lot of games. League of Legends is exactly the same way. My favorite character of all time is Annie, who's an original 40. And she's basically the cheapest character in the game. She's even one of the ones they suggest that you buy right off the off the bat.
Yeah, and she's easy to play and really fucking good.
Yeah, and it's really cool when a character is like that, where they have good moves that you can utilize and are strong and effective, but their skill cap is still really high, so that you're not, you don't want a character that you pick it up and you're as good as you're ever gonna get on your first try.
Yeah.
But it's nice when you, like, it's refreshing when you find a character that's a bit of both.
I think that's why Siege is so good, because it takes the idea that League and Overwatch has of each operator has a specific ability, but the gap isn't even close to the way that, like, let's say in League you put Riven up against Annie and, I don't know, what's one of those tanky characters? Alistar. There's such a huge gap between all three of those characters, whereas in Siege, the gap is so much smaller, and each character does a very specific thing to how the game operates, not necessarily a thing that is done to a character. And it's what keeps the game so consistent. Because, like, there's only like 2 or 3 characters in Siege where you, like, have to very specifically tell your teammates they are there, because it affects, like, them knowing who it is really, really affects the situation.
Or like what they would do.
Yeah,
in that
like
situation.
Monty's the guy who opens up the shield that goes over his entire front of his body, and that's the type of guy that you make sure everyone on the team knows he's there, because he can't shoot while he does that, but no one can shoot him while he does that. So
it's
like,
that no one can shoot him. That's the problem.
He's like the only character who completely stops gameplay. There's no other character in that game that just stops everything. Just fucking staring at his
entire
asshole.
front, eh?
Yeah.
With no holes.
No.
Jesus.
You can totally cheese it out, and like run one way and spin the other way, and like, because like connection issues create a lot of problems there. But for the most part, yeah, like you see him and you're like, all right, well.
One thing that's very interesting about professional gaming is that when you see the margins by which people win, they're these razor tight margins. But what's unique about gaming versus any other like sport is that when there's a razor sharp margin, generally one team comes out like battered, right? Because it was a grueling fight to get to that margin. But in a virtual world, if you win by 1%, you win by 1,000,000% because your character just gets back to full life. You don't lose anything, right?
Interesting.
There's
points.
no cost.
They actually, like, Pro League is actually what defines how they balance out Siege characters.
And that makes sense. You should absolutely like be going towards the professional players because that's where the game is moving as like an industry.
It was really interesting.
Ow!
They usually explain here and there why they make decisions, but in this situation, they showed an actual, like, it's called like a plot chart or something like that.
Stem and leaf plot?
Maybe. They had it divided by win rate and pick rate. And so you had, like, certain characters who were up in the far top right, where it was like extremely high win rate, extremely high pick rate, whereas characters were in the high pick, low win, low pick, like that. So
yeah,
they were like, we want all these characters to be as close to that center spot as possible. So when you have a character who's way out on the edge, something needs to be done about them.
It makes sense. You don't want a character that either doesn't make sense not to pick, or it doesn't make sense to pick, because it totally ruins the dynamic, especially when you're in a draft pick type system where you can only pick one of each.
Yeah. There's no bans, though, in Siege, as far as I know.
That would be cool.
No, it would be terrible. It would be a terrible idea, because the game's designed around, synergy, and, there's only 2 characters you can go through reinforced walls, so if you just ban one of them, you just fuck the enemy team every single time. Yeah, it would be bad.
But also, you're forgetting about the fact that even though you don't have anyone that can go through reinforced walls, if you blow both of your bans on reinforced walls, you're totally forgetting about people that can, like, disable electronics, and you're not looking out for Kavira. There's a lot of things you're not thinking about if you're only focusing on the reinforcement aspect.
It would be the reinforcements every single time.
Oh, so you're pretty sure that's
absolutely, 100%.
That's the important part?
See, the 2 hard breachers are the only characters in the high pick, low win rate because they're just necessary. And it's definitely not them that wins the round, but it's them that opens up the opportunity for the win. It completely changes the game when
And is that why they're high pick, low win?
Yeah.
Because they're always picked because they're necessary, but it's not really up to them to win the game. It's up to them to...
I think it's more so that they're picked because... like the one cool guy in the room sees that no one picked the hard breacher, and then they went for them, even though they're not that good with them.
They just someone needed to be them.
Yeah.
Well, good guy, hard breacher.
Yeah. Well, there's actually one guy, one girl.
And what nationalities are they? Just for those who care.
One's the American FBI, and the other is the Japanese SAT.
What a cunt. Sorry. Excuse me, folks.
Excuse me. Habana is a close friend of mine.
I was not talking about Habana. I was talking about that guy that fucking cut me off!
It was so perfect, just the way I was like, the Japanese. What a cunt!
God damn it. They're going to make me redo this race, aren't they?
That guy's got spins, bah.
Oh, they're going to make... Oh. What's wrong with you? Oh, no. Okay, sure.
Right on. Thank you for joining us. I think this is a good time.
Yeah.
Between the saves.
Next time we'll switch back to that there CFL.
Next time.
Go to the garage.